All right, boys and girls, let's go ahead and do some ellipses day 2. Essentially, what we got to remember is where we're going. So we want to come up with a fraction plus another fraction equaling 1. And so we might have to complete the square. And when I say might, I mean we will have to complete the square to get us there. First thing we need to do is be sure all of our x's and y's are together. So be sure we're grouping everything correctly. So I got my x's together, got my y's together. We don't need this number over here, so we're going to move that over here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out, because we can't complete the square if there's a number other than 1 in front of the squared variable. So I'm going to factor out a 16 out of the first, well, out of the x's essentially. And then I'm going to leave myself a little room to complete the square. And then I'm going to factor out a 25 out of the y squareds. Leave myself some room, and I still equal 284. The next step is that I'm going to see if I divide -2 by 2 and then square it, I'd get 1. If I cut -4 in half, I get 2. -2 squared is 4. But we got to remember that since this thing is in parentheses, I'm actually really adding 16 times 1, and I'm really adding 25 times 4. So I need to be sure that I add 16, I need to be sure I add 100 to that right-hand side. So then I factor, so I get 16 and then x minus 1 squared. Don't get caught up in the factoring. Remember the shortcut we talked about as far as just write down whatever number we had before we squared it and then the variable, and then we're good to go. And then plus 25 and then y minus 2 squared. And then that equals 400. And the last thing is we got to remember that we're supposed to have 1 over here. So I'm going to divide by whatever's keeping me from having 1. In this case, 400. Now, algebra is very fair, so whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other. So I'm going to get x minus 1 squared. And sometimes these numbers will flip-flop. Like in this case, they flip-flop. Sometimes they won't. You know, it's just kind of random if they do or not. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And we get 1. So we got x minus 1 squared over 25 plus y minus 2 squared over 16 equals 1. And then the directions want us to kind of write down a lot of the information. So what we're going to do is we're first going to identify where the center is, kind of get a rough picture, and then go from there. So my center is at 1, 2. 1, 2. So rough picture, 1, 2, ellipse is there. Alrighty. We know it's horizontal because the bigger number is underneath x. The next step is going to identify the vertices. The vertices are going to be the square root of 25 to the right and to the left of my center. So there and there. So I'm going to add 5 to my x value, and I'm going to subtract 5 from my x value. Cool. Next thing, my co-vertices are going to be the square root of 16, so 4 up and down from my center. So I'm going to subtract 4 and add 4 to my 2. So 1, 6 and 1, -2. Last thing are the foci. That's the hardest part. The foci is that relationship of c squared equaling a squared minus b squared. So 25 minus 16, that's 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So that means my foci are 3 units outside of my center. So I'm going to add 3 to my x value, 4, 2. And I'm going to subtract 3 units from my x value, so -2. 2. So that's pretty much all we needed right there. That's the answer, I guess, is our center, vertices, co-vertices, and foci, and then our equation is that too. Anything else you can find off of either one of those. I'm going to do one more as far as graphing it and graphing it correctly. Might let you find everything else. We're going to jump to number 6, the one we did in class today. So we're going to first be sure we complete the square and do all that accurately. So if you're kind of getting good at it, kind of got the hang of it, maybe you can factor and move 279 over to the same, or move the other side all in kind of one step. So we factor out a 9, I get x squared plus 2x. I'm leave myself some room. Factor out a 4, leave myself some room, and that equals 279. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, half of 2 squared is 1. Half of -6 is -3 squared is 9. And then I didn't really add 1, I added 9. I didn't really add just 9, I added 36. So then I factor. Don't make this complicated, it's very easy. Whatever number you had before you squared it, that's a y, sorry. Whatever number you had before you squared it, that's what number you're going to write. I think that equals 324. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to divide by 324 because I want that number to be 1, not that number. All right, so I got x plus 1 squared over 36 plus y minus 3 squared over 81 equals 1. Okay, so as far as graphing goes, zoom out just a little bit. My center is going to be at -1, 3. And then my vertices, I'm going to go up 9 and down 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to go left 6 and right 6. That's right. Yep. Cool, got that. So got my little ellipse here. Let's see how good I can draw it. Oh, it's bad. That's bad. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And then the last thing are the foci. So c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So I'm going to do 81 minus 36. That gives me, what does that give me? 45. Find the square root of that. I think that's around 6.7. So I'm going to be adding 6.7 to my y values because it's a vertical graph. So at -1, 3, I'm going to add 6.7. So it's going to be at like positive 9.7 and at negative 3.7. Alrighty. That's all I got, party people. We'll see you tomorrow. Good luck. Bye.